Ma'am, just text, like drop me a text in either WhatsApp or the chat, personal chat box. I'll do it accordingly. Okay, yes, sure. So good evening, the one and all present over here. This is Dharini Sakharia. I'm basically a BSc in Physician Assistant student. I just recently completed my internship with the KD Hospital, and right now I'm the host for today's event. And so we would move forward to the event. So mostly we would be having our interactive session with Dr. Vanita Prasad, and she is the guest for our today's online session and online webinar. So, moving to the speaker, Dr. Vanita Prasad is an environmental biotechnologist from Vadodara, Gujarat, and she has been pursuing her passion of converting waste to a resource for past 30 years. She plotted her own company in 2017 by the name REVY Environmental Solutions Private Limited. So we all must know the reason why she, emphasis more on such, waste management, resource management, and everything. So there are the three core reasons which we could shed a light on why she decided to opt for this. The first was an unending urge to learn. The second was to provide society effective waste management to fulfill mission of Swachh Bharat. And the third was her belief that innovation in business is nothing by chance. But by doing this, by doing constant research, we can attain anything. It was entirely a new concept and it was really fascinating. So now, I would request ma'am to just hand over. I would like to request ma'am to hand over the mic and just go ahead with the further talk. Any questions or chat box, whatever you have, you can just drop down in the chat box and you can later connect to ma'am and she will answer that. Ma'am, I hand over the mic to you.
Thank you, Dharni. And I am really pleased that the scientific community had called me to give my thoughts on to this topic and why I started all this thing. So I will just share the screen and then I will take this forward.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. So could you able to see?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we could see that.
It's not to avoid any. You could able to see. It's not happening at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, I have clicked on my PPT. Could you able to see now?
Yes, ma'am. It's
I mean,
visible.
yeah. So I think there is a lag in which it is happening. Could you able to see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as she has told in the my introduction that I am really passionate onto waste management, and REVY has been started just to provide a sustainable and economical solution for waste or wastewater treatment. That is what my focus is for past 30 years. Basically, we have this challenge called waste right now, and everybody is talking about this. We can say that there is anything which is residual or leftover, we call it as a waste. Whatever we are not needing it, it is called as a waste. But what I defined it as in my opinion, the waste is a resource which is placed at a wrong place at wrong time, and we need to find a right place and a right way to use it. So why I'm saying this is a resource as such, when we are dumping something somewhere, anything, it can be e-waste, plastic, anything, whatever is left over, if you have dumped it somewhere, it will create health hazard as well as an environment pollution. So we are talking about from noise pollution to air pollution to water pollution, everything. But what we are why this pollution is created, because we are dumping somewhere something somewhere. And that's why we need to think on to the we use this term waste treatment often, but this is what is waste utilization actually, how we will be using this resource. And all these waste are contributing to the greenhouse gases. And in on other side, when we are having we would need to develop, we need to have industry, and that is part and parcel of development. So what on the industry side, they are facing a lot of issues, because global warming or the greenhouse effect is uh, impacting them a lot. When we are doing lot of deforestation for setting up industry, we are losing on lot of resources. We have created a lot of water scarcity, because we are using water in a way which is not sustainable. We have used most of our metals, not only fuels but our metals also, which nature has provided us over the years, and we have consumed it so fast that our young next generation will not be able to have all these resources. So there are people or like us which are thinking on to this aspect. So there has been a society which is known as green and sustainable chemistry, wherein people are trying to innovate onto the way of producing things, and that should not in a such a way that they are using a minimal steps to produce and minimum resources. And that these are the objectives which has been created in last I will say around 10 years. The society is working on very seriously on uh, production processes of industry and guiding the industry to take it forward. So when we talk about resource efficiency, as I mentioning you, whatever we are taking is from this particular. We have some, like when we are thinking of our house, we have a particular resources available to us when we are doing a project, or when we are managing a house. Same way, when we are managing this whole planet, we have a total fixed amount of everything we have. We thought that we have everything unlimited, but that is not there. So even water, which we have thought of that water is there, we can use it and in the way we want. So that's how the resource efficiency is very, very important. And when we talk to industry, industry think of that it is not that profitable. When we are talking about resource efficiency, when we do some production, we um, either in case of biotechnology or in chemistry, when we are doing any process, we don't think how much material we are putting in. Is that material required, and that is coming in out as a waste if we are not optimizing it. So resource efficiency and the process efficiency is very, very important, and industry has to understand this, and that this is basically the mindset change. And that's how even in the household, when we are saying reducing our waste generation is most important part of waste management. And that is really, really tough part, where we have to change our mindset. We have to really think of before using something for something for any process. So if you can see, if if I talk about industry, if they are using less amount, suppose they want to use 1 kg of one material to produce something, and they are using 1.5 kg, they are just spending that 0.5 kg extra. So if they start thinking, or they are trying to budget it, they will be saving and not polluting at the same time. So that is where we need to guide these small scale industries, especially to become resource efficient. It can, we can thought of any farmer or anything. When I talk about industry, it can be a cottage industry to anything, wherever we are using something. So when we are uh, selecting or starting some industry, we have to be very carefully selecting on the raw material, from where we will be getting our raw material, from where we will be getting our energy source. It can be an household industry. If we want to just start a business for, say, making a energy bar, which is very common. But from where you will get an energy source, from where you are sourcing the raw material, is it a sustainable raw material which will be available for you? And if I talk about and like right now we are talking about um, uh, batteries for storage, from where that raw material will come, that is the very, very, very important thing when we are starting. Then when we will be using it, and we will be disposing it, where we will be, how we are going to manage, that also is very, very important. Other thing is, you have to see that, that's I already mentioned, that you have to see when you are doing a process, how much you are wasting, how much you are emitting, and what kind of things you are emitting, and how much hazards that create. So there are products, like when we are doing a lot of chlorination, we are creating a lot of end products which are more dangerous than the treat before the treatment also. So we need to think before applying any technology for any kind of usage. It is can be process, in my opinion. Even waste treatment is like a production process. So when we do this, or the company will do this, they will be reducing their cost for material, chemical, and energy. They will be reducing their cost for disposal. They need not to treat that much. If they are using suppose 1 meter cube of water per kg of their production, if they reduce that consumption to zero point 0.5, they will not be generating that much of water which needs to be treated. So that's how that is very, very important for them. So when they are not producing that much, they need not to have a issue with the compliance, which is very becoming stringent and stringent now. Previously we had a lot of thing, that China has stopped processing a lot of things. Now a lot of waste has been diverted to other developing countries. Developed countries are always sending their waste to somewhere else to be treated. So that is very important. And the production industry is also coming somewhere else, because they know that will be creating some nuisance, and they don't want in their countries. And that's how developing countries has to think twice before setting whatever they are doing. So that is very, very important right now. So when we are talking about resource efficiency, what are the indicators we need? So we need to know that what materials we are using and what is the uh, per unit service we will be getting out of it. What is the carbon footprint which when we will be using that particular thing, when we will be using a process, what are the carbon footprints which we are creating? Are we creating it with a more greenhouse gas emissions, or we can have a technology which will be emitting less greenhouse gas? So those parameters needs to be understood, and even all of this can be another life cycle of that particular product. It can be anything. Now we are trying to, that's why there are green products which are being labeled now, because the whole life cycle of that particular product creates a carbon footprint or greenhouse gases. So if you decrease that, it is a better product or better option to go ahead. So if that production is using the material, like if we are from the pharma side, if I think of, we are using a lot of solvents. If we are using the safer solvents and not the hazardous materials which will be gone into the market, the environment, it will be more advantageous for whole of the community or a whole of the globe. And apart from that, still we need an integrated management system, so that it should not be dumped somewhere and just lying there and creating other sorts of problems. So when I talk about efficiency, you will see there are water, energy, material, and chemicals, which is required. You do anything, you will be needing all these things, and these are very overlapping kind of things. If I need use a lot of water to create my product, I need to use the chemicals to treat it. I used to have some ways to treat that. If I want to treat, I need to use energy, I need to use chemicals. So all of this is interrelated. I cannot say that I can just say on one side. So that's how this whole thing, even health, when we are disposing, like if we have a spill, we have seen that there is a this Bhopal case, the tragedy we have seen a lot of issues or the accidents which has happened because of the spills. So and not only this, but we are having a lot of diseases because of the way we are using our materials. I will say the resources or the material we are creating and other issues. So that's why we as society, we have because we need to develop, we need to have a good lifestyle, we have to have a good standard of living. So we have to have those options which are much more better, and developed countries already have done some mistakes. We should not repeat those mistakes as we are growing. So this is very important to have an energy balance whenever we are doing anything. At any point of time, we should manage, as science students, we know we have law of conservation. Everything, whatever we will be used, will be coming somewhere. If you are using a material, it will come out as a product. You need to step, and you need to have efficient product producing processes, so that you minimize on solid waste, gas emissions, wastewater creation, and you have to use minimum energy which is required to produce your product. It should not use a lot of energy, and you have to use the energy carriers which are more safer, I will say, which will not be creating a lot of greenhouse gases. And that's how we have to balance out on our choices. Why we are talking about all this now a lot, these SDGs goals have been created, and this wedding cake model which has been created is a very really thought of by all of us, as I will not say only the scientists, the social people, and uh, uh, all of us have then came together and thought of this. There is a biosphere we have, and that is very very important. It is the main basis of the life, and that's how all the SDGs goals are interconnected. You have to first focus onto your biosphere. If it is not there, rest all will fall apart. If you have a clean water, that's what people were talking, that there will be a third war just because of having water. And we are listening, I think when you are growing up, you have listened this sentence for last 10 to 15 years, that there will be a war just for water. And there is a climate change happening, and we are seeing the effects, the heat wave we are having in Europe, or the amount of rainfall we have in Gujarat, which was not there. The patterns have been changed. So we need to see that this biosphere has to be attended very, very carefully, and everything will fall in place if we will manage the base of this particular cake carefully. Um Environment sustainability mostly comes down to the fossil fuels and its emission, because this is the most important energy source, and we need energy for everything, for our houses, for our transport, for everything we need energy. Even now the buildings needs a lot of energy because we need our temperature controls and everything. So as we are growing onto our energy consumption, we are uh, creating a lot of climate change, and that's what is happening. And that has created a base wherein we started thinking of renewables. It has come in last, I will say, 2 to 3 decades. Before that, we were thinking that we have enough of energy source. It will not be going to finish. Although whatever we have predicted at that point of time that fossil fuel will finish, that is not finished by that year, because we got into another options, like solar has been penetrated a lot. But still, what we have to do is, when we are talking about this waste hierarchy or our fuels, we need to have the first thing is prevention. That's the most difficult task or difficult part, because every person who is using anything has to think, should I use this, should I need this option, should I go for this particular thing. Like when we are coming with the say the green products which are coming, they are costlier, we should buy that or we should not buy that. These are our choices, and that's how these new innovations will penetrate into the market, because of the choice of consumer. And that's why I say this is very important to change the mindset of every person, to think of that the whole biosphere is for us. It is not for a particular community or a particular country or whatsoever. Everybody, not only the humans, every living organism living on this biosphere has, I will say, a right to use these resources very, like for his means every living organism needs everything from this biosphere, and that's why we should be very, very careful as humans to use that. Now, since we have used something, that's what I was saying, any waste, if we are disposing, we have used something and now we have something left over, how to use it in a best opting way, that is what we are thinking of. In case of organic waste or lithium ion battery, we are recovering metals from our e-waste. We have to recover, we have to reuse the plastics, we have to have the options. And as Indians, our society was using most of the things very efficiently. When we go and see our like my daddy used to, it means everything has to be used. They were not used to that much of their throwaway lifestyle, which has been there in last 10 to 15 years. That's where we have to see how we can be reusing our things. Recycling and reusing and recovery is all the part and parcel of that, and the disposal should be the least one. You will be disposing something, but that has to be least, and that's how we will be saving on our space for landfills. That we are predicting now, that if the amount of the quantum of waste we are generating, we have to have another planet to dump our waste. That is what has been from last 2 decades, what we are thinking of. And that's how this linear model of usage of anything has been stopped. um, not, I will not say stop, but people have started thinking onto the circular economy, and that's the basis of bioeconomy also. And as biotechnologist, I am focused onto this part of the aspect, and I can contribute more onto the bioeconomy, and that's why I started innovating on these aspects. uh, People were saying that the last 2 decades were for IT, and now the era is for the BT, that is biotechnology. We have to find a lot of ways, like we are having biomethane, we are having bioethanol, we are having bio CNG. All these are our energy sources. We are creating a lot of crops which are high yielding or high resistant. All that comes from BT. We are like even for COVID, when it has happened, everything has come up from the biotechnology side. Correct. So bioeconomy will play a major role in shaping the economy in next decade. And as my role, what I will say as a citizen or as a global citizen, what I wanted to contribute is to the waste to energy, especially managing the organic waste. When I started focusing on this aspect, and I wanted to use it in a circular way. And in that case, this is the heart, that anaerobic digestion is a process which is using microbes, and it is happening in nature. That is not a very innovative kind of process. It is happening since I will say the planet is there. Anaerobic digestion is happening. So that's how REVY has been started. I thought that uh, I thought, or means like whatever I understood, I found that anaerobic digestion is uh, heart of doing processing. And when we want to recycle or do a lot of things, this can be the heart of the main circular economy model or various resource management process. So I focused onto this particular um, uh, the process, which is a very complicated and a very symbiotic process. And mother nature has provided us this particular thing to use the maximum out of anything we have. We have carbon cycle, we have sulfur cycle, water cycle, everything is circular, which has been provided and which we have learned during our school time. So when I focused on to this process, this is a very complicated process, and uh, uh, very a lot of science has been developed on this particular I will say the process. Herein, a lot of role is played by these particular microorganisms, which we call as bacteria, and these are the useful bacteria we have. So what I focused on to the as a biotechnologist onto the biochemistry, metabolism, and the knowledge we have for these microorganisms. So what I try to create is I am trying to produce product in and around using uh, uh, these particular microorganisms. And uh, as much as I'm trying to understand more, there are cell signaling, there are metabolic engineering, there are synthetic consortia which we can do. We can even do genetic engineering. A lot of things we have which we can do. So what I came up, because I wanted to do some economical things. So what tried to start doing, I isolated a lot of things, and since I know the health of these microbes are very, very important, so I tried to develop products around this particular thing. So the REVY is the first product which I have created is a microbial consortia. It's work inside these anaerobic reactors to recover energy from the any waste material. So you can see these granules which I created is basically not having any carrier material as such. They are not immobilized kind of things, but these are only bacteria came together. There are 650 different bacteria in this particular package, and then when we load it into a reactor, we can pass any organic material out of it, and we will be recovering energy. We will be getting a nitrogen and phosphorus rich if treated water, which can be directly used as an irrigation water, or if it is having a higher load, we can further treat it that way. So that is my focus that I wanted to do this. And when I'm used, I have done this one as a first product. So there are a lot of ways of treating our sewage, and we know that our sewage, only 70% of our sewage is still not treated. Sorry, only 30% is treated, and that's how the industrial effluent is also there. And we are using this aerobic technology, which is creating a lot of greenhouse gas and consuming a lot of energy. So both ways we are creating a lot of carbon footprint. So that's why I was focused into this anaerobic conventional. There are people which are using this, but this is very difficult to maintain. These are very unpredictable kind of reactors, because there is a symbiotic relationship in this, and we need to know how we need to manage that. And that's why I came up not only with this particular product, but their health tonic also. And that's how we maintain these microbes inside the reactor, and we try to figure out how, as earliest as possible, that there is some imbalance happening in the into the metabolism. And that's how the we have done this. So these are the core products which we have developed. So we have revived a lot of plants, since we need all these scientific treatment. And that's what I consider this as also a fermentation process for creating any product. These are also those kind of processing units, and we need to manage them in a very effective manner. And you can see that this is a plant which is processing 20 ton per day of solid waste. If this plant is not running, you can imagine how much of waste will be dumped somewhere. So that's our target, that we will use, and we will be creating this much of energy every day. So you can see there is no energy production, and the plant has been acidic, and there is no energy production. There is a smell problem. There are other issues which are connected when a waste treatment plant is not I will say not functioning. So that's where I have tried this. This was our first trial after producing our product, and we could able to do it. And then this is basically commissioning of our organic waste. OFMSW is the organic fraction which we use. This is a kitchen waste plant. So we have started doing all this, and we have created an app also, from where we get uh, information for the health of our microbes. And we wanted to be a centrally situated kind of person, like we have ICUs, and there is a station where every patient has been managed. And same way we wanted to have managing these microbial health, sitting at a central place in REVY R&D, and helping industry, or helping the municipalities or the waste processing units to manage their waste. So we have tried our product with all kinds of organic waste, that as I mentioned, um, solid waste as well as the effluents. Like this is an example of a company which is producing potato starch, and they were facing a problem, because if they cannot treat their effluent, they get a shutdown notice, because the regulations are very strict. Now they have to treat their effluent if they want to produce also. So the production will stop moment their effluent treatment is not happening. So that's how we help them to treat their waste, and they could able to recover a lot of energy out of it. And their waste treatment unit is a not a burden to them. Now it is a add-on resource for them and their greenhouse emissions. And as a company, they are saving a lot of water, because they can able to reuse their water. They can get energy which can be used as a fuel, substitute from the fossil fuel or something, because this is a biogas which they are producing on site. So that's how as such the whole industry is minimizing their impact, the production impact. So still now, what I could able to do as a very young startup, we could able to do a lot of pilot scale studies. And right now I am focused on to one side we are pushing our product on organic this thing, and we are doing an R&D on dye intermediates, effluents with high sulfates, phenols, and heavy metals. So that is what we are doing. There are lot and numbers of other things which we can be focused later on, and that's how, as scientist, I am trying to uh, really do some of the technologies which can help my, I will say, the community to really use their resources, or the whatever we have with us, very judicially, very, I will say, very economically. And since we are a growing population, we will be creating a lot of organic waste. If we use this for creating energy, right now we are focused on to producing hydrogen. During my PhD, I could able to do patents on converting organic waste to hydrogen, biohydrogen. And at that point of time, nobody was talking about hydrogen, and now that the government is mandating hydrogen. So I am now focused on biohydrogen. The pilot scale uh, trials have been started. So soon we will be coming up with the product, microbial consortia, which can convert waste into hydrogen. So these are some of the recognitions which I got very recently. This National Startup Award has been given to us, and my basic aim is to give water. And I started just because the water is a very important resource, and we are not using it very, I will say, efficiently. And when we I talk about sanitation, the major problem is our sewage, unhealthy conditions in which the people are living, and we are losing lives just because of diarrhea. We have come to a stage in the medical advancement, but in India we are losing lives just because of diarrhea, which as a biotechnologist hurts me a lot. And I really want to give water and sanitation, living conditions to my fellow human beings. So that is what I am focused on. I hope I could able to convey. So I now hand over to the Dharani, that you can take the questions, or I should stop sharing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
Audience, please go ahead with your questions. I think you can just, turn on your cameras and ask it.
Ma'am,
With the,
I have one question.
yeah.
Yeah, you showed the whole pilot experiment for the hydrogen and many microbial products. So instead of converting to a large scale experiment, is it possible that we can distribute that experiment to farmers as well, so that they can also start converting the producing the same? Or what do you say on this?
Like what we are trying to do is, we are trying with the biogas plants at household level. If we all are having it, but that is not the best way to manage your resource also. So that's where the community, whenever we are doing any production, the scale is very important. But that is also can be done. We are doing that, but since we are not using all these materials, and as I am progressing into the more fermentation products, like now we are doing biohydrogen, there can be this resource can be used for other products like bioplastics. Polymer can be made by this food waste only. But that recovery will not be possible if we will be doing units at household level. If we will be uh, uh, getting this waste in a quantum, we can use it in another resources also. So that's why it's very important both ways. And we have to see, and these are all local issues, and we have to see uh, every I will not say even the country, if city wise, that what is the best way to use their resources. Like when we are talking about a village, at the farmer level, this is more household kind of thing. But when we are talking about an urban city, where we are living in the flats and all, it is not feasible that we should have household kind of plants. It could be ward wise, like we have done for the Noida municipality. So that depends.
Thank
Have
you.
I answered your
I
question?
got my answer.
Yeah. So, like if you are processing your bio CNG, you want to use bio CNG, the capital cost involved to do a bio CNG plant is much more. If you don't have the scales, you will not be having economics. So that's why it's very important.
Yes, ma'am. Economics also matters most here.
Economic matters. That's why it comes little upper, but you have to have the technology. You have to have, but in that case also, it's very important to have a segregated waste, which we are not doing. And everybody is telling this for last 10 years. I am thinking previously nobody was listening, but now people have started listening. Municipalities have done a lot of awareness programs, but still it is a tough task. Still it is a tough task.
So
And most of our
we can
energy is going,
experience this.
energy and money is going towards segregation only.
Yes, ma'am.
Very nice and insightful talk, ma'am. Regarding, I have one question. So you talked about bioeconomy and how it is related with the circular economy, right? And you also talked about how you could manipulate hydrogen in the waste management thing. Yeah. So, ma'am, what do you comment on how can you did a lab scale experiment, right, with the hydrogen for waste management? So, how can you comment on having hydrogen for treating waste management at a larger industrial scale? I mean, how feasible do you think it is?
So that's what I am doing right now. Long back, I have done this patent for producing hydrogen, but at that point, nobody was talking. And when I'm talking about hydrogen production, it's a process industry, same like CBG. CBG has biomethane has come up to this point. When I started manipulating or doing anything on anaerobic digestion, I started for hydrogen, not for methane. But since I wanted to start up and do some product which should go to the market first, that's why I focused on to the biomethane, because everybody has a lot of plants now. People are managing those plants. So
Yes.
it's a very interdisciplinary kind of things. When as a scientist I'm doing something on lab, and when it actually has to go to the market, it's a very long journey. And as scientist, I have to understand a lot of things, and I have to collaborate with a lot of people. Now I am trying to do pilots on biohydrogen, where safety is very important. How
Yeah.
hydrogen will be produced and how it will be transported. The main
Exactly.
issue still for hydrogen production is, if I produce, how I will distribute. So distribution, safety, and all those stuff. Even for doing a pilot, we need to have all those aspects. So we are trying to do, but still, as biotechnologists, our competitor chemistry, when we are doing any electrolyzer or something, the moles of hydrogen which we are producing is not economical yet. So that is
Yeah.
the challenge we have as a biotechnologist. So we are trying to do that. But onto the chemistry side, the issue is that you don't have those resources on long term.
Mm.
So there are a lot of complications when we are changing an energy source. Solar has been penetrated a lot, but still every source, when we are taking it, we were not thinking last 10 years a total life cycle of the product. And that's where in last 10 years, most of the people, whenever we are opting for a technology, we have to think over. And that's why this carbon footprint, water footprint, or land footprint has been come into picture. There are now green bonds we have, because we have not thought as a society, we have not thought before, and that's why we are using a linear model. Now we are not using that, and that's why there is a lot of change in the products we are having now.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'd like to ask you one question. Like, the thing is, due to my past training and my current research interest, I'm working on antibiotic resistance. So now, as this might not come under the same arena, but this, I do believe there is a lot of antibiotic leftover residues which are used to store, in the environment. So I would be very happy to know your opinion on that. Like, what would be the fate, and how could you determine the fate of those particular residues in your context? If I just
In
try to,
agriculture residues,
yeah, antibiotic leftover residues.
antibiotic. Okay, okay, right, right, right. Antibiotic residues. You want to say that the drugs which has not been utilized, like antibiotic, or the medicines which has been expired and has to be. You are talking about those.
which has been dumped for a couple of years, and as a result the bacteria in the field, they're developing a resistance to it, because we
Correct.
know
Correct.
like
Correct.
antibiotic
So
resistance
I
is
got
something.
your point. So you are
Yeah.
talking about the antibiotic resistance, which has been happened, and this is the most difficult task we have when we are treating sewage, because the
Exactly.
way we are consuming antibiotics is
Mhm.
not really, especially in Indian community, we are using antibiotics like anything. So dyes, antibiotics, the chemicals which we are using. When I am trying to treat anything with these kind of things, the bacteria which I need has to be resistant for that. So there is a very difficult challenge we have, and that's why we have to be very very cautiously when we're consuming this particular thing or producing this also. When we are producing antibiotics, we have to be very careful, and that's why I was talking about industry, because since I am on job, I was working with the need environment consultancy firm, and we have done a lot of treatments and created a hazardous landfill sites where we dump these chemicals, the drugs, antibiotics, other chemicals, we dump it. And now we have not even dumped that in a very scientific manner, and that has been seeped out. So all
Mhm.
those problems we have created in last 20 years, or I will say last 50 years, since
That's right.
industrialization has happened. And that's why we have to be very careful now. We have created all these issues. Antibiotic resistance is a real issue. Uh, Putting out a lot of chemicals in the sewage, and then sewage treatment has become difficult. Not only difficult, whatever treated water is coming, that technology is becoming tougher and tougher, because
Mhm.
we are creating such small molecules which are more difficult to manage, and that's are accumulating either in the animals or even in our human body. So that's why we have done a lot of problems, and we have to be very careful using chemical, I will say, medicines when we are using, although we are all dependent on allopathy. And that's why a lot of things have been happening onto the natural substituents for all these things. We were having that since I will say when our dadis and all were there, they were using all those products. But somehow we have come up with our man-made chemicals, correct? And that's why this sustainable chemistry has come up, because all these are not even for the production side, and then disposal is a difficult task.
Yes.
Getting those bacteria even, and now we are getting all those bacteria because nature is doing the genetic engineering. When we are forcing it to do, that is doing so. But as biotechnologists or as microbiologists, we have this tougher role to play, that we have to find those real, I will say, the soldiers which nature has provided us to manage all this.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
So
Yes.
that's the task where we as scientists or as
Mhm.
biotechnologists have to play a role, and we have to come up with the enzymes or the enzymatic pathway to create these chemicals, as
Mhm.
well as to dispose these chemicals.
Okay. Okay. And it has been such a nice, thought-provoking session, and I learned a lot from you. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
One question I have from our YouTube audience from Malika. She is asking that, ma'am, could you please suggest some career options for students aspiring to work in environmental biotechnology field?
So as I was mentioning, when you are working on environment biotechnology, there are n numbers of options right now. Like right now, there are heaps and heaps of, uh, I will say, mountains of garbage we have in every city. Recovering anything from there with a biotechnological intervention will be a sustainable way, because we will be not creating any other options. So those are one of the options. Like I know I am guiding a lot of students who are converting these things into are useful products. So not only I am working on energy, and I'm really focused onto that part, because that is very very important. But there are a lot of options. Like when I am working with specifically the oil industry, they have this leftover of after taking oil. We can do a lot of health products. We can do a lot of animal feed. We can do many other things with those kinds of products. So there is a lot of options. If you have understanding of your particular I will say microbiology and biotechnology, you can apply it, uh, and as an environment, I will say environment carrier will be more focused onto. There is a lot of every industry has an ETP now, or waste management unit, where there is no biotechnologist available. Still, industry is not opting for that. So those are the options we are looking for, and as green jobs are coming up, these options will be there. So you have to have your more skills on understanding how the waste management is happening and in and around. So as microbiologists, we generally study in our post graduation career one, I will say, in one semester one chapter will be always there, correct? So you need to focus onto that and develop your skills around that. Like what I have done, I was basically a biotechnology. I need to understand whole of engineering around the solid waste management or the wastewater management, how the plant runs. So that is what you need to do those courses. That can be now a lot of internet courses are available online, which you can add on to your skills with biotechnology, and that can be a career option for you.
Last question I have from my side. Yeah, since you were working on the biohydrogen, so were you able to quantify how much biohydrogen was produced from the bacterial cells?
Yeah. So like when I was doing during my PhD, it's the problem is that we could able to get with the dark fermentation around maximum we can get 4 moles, but the maximum practically we could able to get hydrogen out of this waste material is 1.8 to 1.9 moles per mole of glucose. So that is a limitation still we have, and we need to, because there is a lot of hydrogen consumers all there. So managing that, working with pure strains, managing waste in a sterile condition, all those are challenges we have when we are tackling a waste management thing. But now, since there is other ways in which we can improve, photohydrogen production is one other way by which we can produce hydrogen. In that case, we are trying to do a process in by which we can get around 4 to 8 moles of hydrogen per mole of glucose by using a lot of combinations. And when we are producing hydrogen, we will be generating CO2 also. So CO2 can be utilized, and that's how we can have a plant, and that's why this biorefinery kind of models are coming up. So it's not only one thing. And likewise, when we are doing this hydrogen, we are trying to produce a lot of other products, and that's how a lot of research is going on when we are producing acetate, which can be used uh, as other product if we could able to recover it in a cost effective way from the broth we have. So all those are the aspects we are looking on. Yeah, hydrogen production is still not I will say the yields which is theoretically possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I got. Last time, how means the quantification was done through means some sensors or the biosensor or
Yeah,
spectrophotometrically?
for hydrogen production, we generally use GC with the TCD, and now IR is also coming up. But on a small scale detection, we are still doing GCs.
Thank you, ma'am. Um,
You are on mute. Janki, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
It was a very wonderful and insightful talk, and I hope everyone enjoyed this session on waste management and how is it happening around. On behalf, Dharini, are you around?
Yes, I am.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, I would like to thank Dr. Vanita ma'am for such a wonderful session. And we are extremely glad to be a part of it. So, we would be in touch and get to know more about waste management and everything in a very detailed manner. So, I would like to thank Vanita ma'am from our on behalf of our scientific community team. So thanks a lot, ma'am, for your
I'm really
wonderful
glad
and
that all of you are so deeply involved in this particular, uh, I will say, a taboo kind of topic. And when I started, even the company, everybody was telling me this is not a field for a lady or a woman to work with. So that is also an
yeah,
issue. So all those stigmas has to be taken care, because this is very important aspect of our life.
yeah, definitely, ma'am.
Thank
Okay,
you all for inviting me.
yeah, yeah, thanks a lot, ma'am. So coming to our scientific community team, I would like to introduce our team shortly. So we have Dhairya Rajguru as the founder and admin of our scientific community. We have our community admin Sindusha Das, Soumya Mishra as community team admin tech lead, Pankti Dhumal as social media manager, Malavika Sachi as digital artist, Foreign Joshi and Tanisha Mantri as graphic designer, Surjit Par as PhD connector, myself as an event manager, Shubham Singh as an technical coordinator, Ajinkya Thakre as community admin outreach coordinator. So this is our all about our scientific community team. And thanks a lot to the entire team and Vanita ma'am as well for giving me this opportunity live on YouTube and for various social media. Thanks a lot. And we could wrap it if I think if any audience has any questions, then we could definitely look into that, or else we are done with the meeting. So yeah, anyone has questions?
wait, one question from YouTube audio. Have you
Yeah, sure.
ever worked with textile effluent, ma'am? And if
Yes.
so, could please share some thoughts about it?
So I am working with Vatva CETP, where they are managing their diaffluents. I am working with them to treat a very high TDS effluents. I am trying to see how best they can have their, I will say, the material usage. That is very important. So as an environment auditor, I help them to manage their resources, what they are doing, and as well as a lot of technology is needed for uh, for textile dyeing. Especially, we are now looking for not using water as a solvent. We are trying to use CO2 as a solvent. So all those things are more of engineering kind of innovations which are happening, and that's why I'm saying this particular domain is a very interdisciplinary kind of domain, where only biotech cannot be very helpful, but we need to understand that. So we are working with dissectors and when I'm trying to treat their water, which is having a very high TDS, I'm trying to work with halophiles. So yeah, I'm using biotech at that point of time. I'm trying to do the resource material balance. So it's a package kind of thing. Yeah, we are doing that. And especially the sulfate reducers I am working with, I mentioned that we are doing pilots with for that, because we wanted to use do bioremediation on sulfate side also. So yeah, we are doing that.
Thank you for your response.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Ajinkya, if you want to, have some words, or if you would like to wrap up the event, I can do.
Yeah, thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am,
Thank you, Ajinkya,
for
for
this
contacting me,
talk.
and I could able to do it, because I was thinking I could able to do it or not, but you said it is in evening. In Delhi, when I am traveling, it is really difficult to do an online session. Thank you, thank you,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
thank you.
All
And
right, ma'am.
anybody wants to contact and have any ideas to take this sector little ahead is always welcome, and can talk to me and contact me, and I can guide him to really create an impact with whatever ideas they have in any part. That's why I kept it more generalized kind of talk, because there is n number of materials which we can use. Okay, thank you all, nice to meet you all.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you, ma'am.
ma'am. Have a bye
Bye
time.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am.